Hi, my name is Tunde, and I have a very painful and personal story to share with you. You see, exactly on the 3rd of June 2018, I lost my best friend to a deadly complication of diabetes. Doctors call hyperosmolar non-ectotic coma. At just 52 years of his life, my friend Femi lost his life in the hands of this deadly diabetes disease and left his family shattered with a hole they can never fill for life. With what just happened to my friend, I knew I had to do something or end up like Femi anytime soon. It was after I hit a rock bottom with my beloved friend's death that I set out to find a truly effective way to completely reverse type 2 diabetes and put an end to the troubles of diabetes I have been struggling with too. Did I find the solution? Definitely I did, and that's what I'm about to share with you today. The solution is being covered up by big pharmaceutical companies who want to keep us on their drugs for life. In fact, I have shown more than 578 men in Nigeria to date, and they have been able to safely reverse their incurable type 2 diabetes in just as little as 3 months. My friend, if you or someone you love is currently being battered by type 2 diabetes, you're sitting on a time bomb that can explode at any minute. And this is not just what I made up. I'll show you the comprehensive research I have done that shows you exactly how deadly type 2 diabetes can be if you keep on following everything the doctors say. Now the truth is, you'll be angry when you find out exactly the most common drugs doctors recommend. Actually, those drugs raise your risk of developing stroke, heart attack, kidney failure, or a diabetic coma like the one that took my friend's life. I know this sounds like a lot to take in, and I will explain everything to you in this short video. I'll show you why you haven't been able to reverse your diabetes even though you work out like an athlete following your doctor's advice. You also see why being old doesn't necessarily mean you have to be diabetic. Now, have you been told being overweight is the reason why you're diabetic? Truth is, I was told that too. But with the comprehensive research I did, only about 1 in 3 people who are very overweight actually develop diabetes. Being overweight is a risk factor for diabetes, but it's not the fat that you can see that causes diabetes. I'll show you the exact fat you should target if you're serious about reversing your diabetes. I'll show you the other factors that make diabetes an incurable disease, and I'll show you exactly how over 578 Nigerians, plus myself, have quietly been able to reverse our type 2 diabetes. Now, it doesn't matter if you have been diabetic for 6 months or 23 years, like Mr. David from Imo State. It doesn't matter if diabetes runs in your generation like mine. My father and grandfather were diabetics too. It doesn't even matter if you're a male or a female, if you're 18 or 85 years old. The solution I'm about to share with you will completely reverse your blood sugar problems. It will help you regain your sexual drive and start having mind-blowing sex with your wife again. It will also put an end to the horrible sex you've been having lately. The inability to perform on the bed is one of the most shameful things to happen to any man. Like, I can't remember how many times, how many nights I left my wife disappointed because of how bad the drugs I was using for diabetes were affecting my manhood. And in the next few minutes, you'll see how exactly you can reverse the bad effects of the drugs your doctors has on you at the moment. Now, you can finally have peace of mind that you will not be an emotional and financial burden to your family in the future, because you won't keep on buying management drugs that doctors force on innocent victims like us. You will totally eliminate your risk of going blind, developing a stroke, having a heart attack, or having a need to replace your kidneys in the near future. And finally, you'll be able to eat what you want without fear of spiking your blood sugar. You'll be free from the thoughts of others about what you eat because of your diabetes. You'll restore your energy, melt away fat around your body like clockwork, and you feel healthier, younger, and even more active than you have been in years. My friend, it's time you freed yourself from the prison of diabetes once and for all. Now, I know all of these sound like a huge promise, but I promise you, stay with me to the end and take notes if you can, because what I'm about to share with you helped me lower my blood sugar from 340 plus to 119 in 12 weeks. It completely reversed my diabetes and even surprised my doctor. You may be thinking or wondering if it only worked for me. Trust me, I'm not the only one. Now, here's what some of the 500 plus Nigerians have shared this information with have to say about this solution. Mr. Salam Adegboyega, he said, "My whole life has changed. Your video has made a remarkable difference. My blood sugar level is normal. I have more energy than ever and I've been able to finally lose the weight and keep it off for good. Tunde, I don't know how to thank you enough. I was scheduled for a leg amputation surgery because my blood sugar has reached almost 500. In just 6 weeks of following your unique solution to diabetes, I reversed my type 2 diabetes and I didn't have an amputation again. My family thanks you and condolences on your friend's death." Thank you, Mr. Danladi. Now, these are people like you a few years ago who are now living their best lives again. I'm sure you have a similar story too. Like I told you earlier, my name is Tunde Adeoye. I'm 55 years old and I live with my family in our small home here in Lagos State, Nigeria. My doctor said I got it because it's hereditary in my family. My father used to have it. My grandfather had diabetes too. He assured me I'll be fine taking my drugs, doing exercises, and watching the foods I eat. Being a very health conscious person, I followed every instruction my doctor gave me to the latter. The fact is that I just wasn't feeling any better at all with every week that passes by. Now, it started with me not being able to concentrate at work, then I got tired every single day. And every time I visited my doctor to complain, he would simply laugh and tell me to keep following his advice. Usually he would just write me a set of new drugs or tell me to increase the dosage of the current medication at the time I visited. Only God knows how many times he changed my drugs while my condition was only getting worse. I was usually very tired, always feeling thirsty and hungry. Is it the loss of feeling in my hands and feet I should talk about, or the occasional inability to see clearly? It was just a problem upon problem. Yet I was spending even more money every month to buy more drugs and get fitness equipment. My house was like a mini gym. I had dumbbells, barbells, and even a treadmill to help me exercise hard as my doctor advised. Nothing worked. My blood sugar usually measured around 340, while my stomach keeps growing outward. People made fun of my stomach size, something very disgusting for someone of my age. I was on this unending roller coaster until the 3rd of June 2018. I got a call from my friend Femi. I thought it was him, but it was his wife speaking. The first thing I heard from the other end of the line was that Femi is dead. I couldn't believe my ears. I rushed down to his house with my wife to be sure I heard the right thing. It was after his burial that his wife told me that my 52-year-old friend died from a hyperosmolar nocturnal coma. I didn't know what it meant either. When I did my research, it's one of the most horrible complications of diabetes. His blood sugar went over 600 mg and he collapsed in his workplace. Femi died before he could get to the nearest hospital. I felt very sad and disappointed at the same time. Femi had been my friend since secondary school. We were together in this journey of fighting the type 2 diabetes. He was diagnosed 2 years before I got diagnosed with diabetes. When I spoke with my doctor about Femi's death, he made me realize that there was little the doctors could have done for him even if he made it to the hospital that day. He said his condition had gotten to a critical stage, and hearing this from my own doctor, I got scared for my own life. With the roller coaster I was on, I began to think, how long will it take before I fall into a coma like my friend? I knew I didn't want to go down that path. I want to grow old with my wife and protect my children in every way I can. Right there in my doctor's office, I realized that what I was dealing with when I got home that day, I started doing research to know everything, every single thing about diabetes. I joined groups on Facebook. I signed up to websites to learn how to reverse diabetes. Everything was the same bullshit advice I had been getting for years. The same one that killed Femi, my beloved friend. It was during this research that I learned that insulin was never meant to reverse diabetes. In fact, according to one of the scientists that made insulin for human use, he said, "The insulin we made is not going to reverse diabetes. It will just help in managing the symptoms of the disease." I also found out that some people are naturally resistant to exercise. Now, what this means is that no matter how hard you exercise, if you are among the resistant diabetics like me, your blood sugar will simply keep on rising. Now, those are just a few of the advice that doctors give that simply do not work. I tried out a few of the suggestions people posted in forums too. I started trying out diets that involve a lot of vegetables and fruits. I reduced my carbohydrates drastically. I started taking herbs and all. But to be honest, I saw a little bit of change using some of them. Most of the others didn't do anything for me. I was on this journey for a good 6 months. Then, one night, I saw a woman sharing her diabetes story in a Facebook group. I thought it was just fake too, but the number of comments this woman got was overwhelming. I reached out to her through Facebook Messenger, and it was there she told me about an American doctor that saved her life. She sent me her before and after photos of the weight she'd lost during her diabetes journey. I was just too overwhelmed that I asked for the contact of the man that helped her. His name is Dr. Kurt. He stays in Arkansas in the United States of America. I immediately contacted Dr. Kurt and explained my situation to him. How I had been struggling to keep my blood sugar low, the amount I was spending on drugs without any difference, how poor my performance had gotten in bed with my wife, the shame I got from what everyone thinks about my eating habits. Dr. Kurt simply smiled at me and promised to show me how he helped this miracle woman reverse her type 2 diabetes. I was happy and excited. Then he began and started with what type 2 diabetes is actually. Now, this is the part you've been waiting for, my friend. Dr. Kurt told me the real cause of insulin resistance is something called visceral fat, and here's how it causes type 2 diabetes. Visceral fats block the action of something called insulin receptors. These insulin receptors are the ones that receive insulin signals and tell the cells to absorb glucose for energy. When the insulin receptors receive signals of glucose in the blood, they activate the cells of the bones and muscles to start absorbing glucose for energy. What visceral fat does is to alter the course of the insulin receptors. Visceral fat is necessary for the release of something called inflammatory cytokines. Cytokines cause the insulin receptors to become inflamed and less sensitive to insulin. This means that the beta cells that produce insulin have to work harder to make insulin receptors active. When this process goes on for too long, it causes the second problem of type 2 diabetes, which is beta cells apoptosis and dysfunction. During beta cells apoptosis, the beta cells are secreting more insulin than they were meant to produce. But because visceral fat is making insulin receptors less active, as beta cells continue this dangerous cycle for too long, they gradually get worn out and begin to die, which is known as apoptosis. The body tries so hard to regenerate new beta cells, but because of the rate at which they die, it simply can't keep up with the production. The body then goes into sleeping mode and stops producing beta cells. The remaining beta cells stop producing insulin too. Now, this is when your doctor advises you to start taking insulin injections. And because the underlying cause of insulin resistance, visceral fat, is not taken care of, you simply keep on loading up more insulin shots without getting any better. You'll still be very tired. Your risk of developing complications like blindness, kidney damage, stroke, and hypertension continues to increase. Insulin doesn't help you reverse your type 2 diabetes. And usage of insulin over a long period of time has various side effects like excessive sweating, feeling dizzy, fast heart rate, and difficulty to concentrate, among others. Now, you may be wondering, can't I just exercise to lose the visceral fat? Well, I thought about that too. But the fact is that it's extremely hard to lose visceral fat because it doesn't show on the body. I'm sure you've been able to lose fat one time or the other. The thing is that 98% of the fat you lost is subcutaneous fat, which is the other kind of fat. Subcutaneous fat is the fat that is very visible in the body. The fat that hangs rent-free on the arms, legs, stomachs, and other parts of the body are known as subcutaneous fat. Visceral fat is very different because it's the fat that's not visible. It hangs on the internal organs like the liver, pancreas, and other vital organs necessary for our survival. Difference in the levels of visceral fat is the reason why some really fat people are not diabetic. In fact, only 1 out of 3 fat people are diabetic because of visceral fat, internal fat. When you hop on the treadmill, jog around the community, do intense hours of cardio and the rest, you will lose a great amount of subcutaneous fat and little visceral fat. Unless you start running a marathon every day for like 3 months consistently, it's quite impossible to lose visceral fat by doing exercise. So what about dieting so hard and fasting for several hours a day? You have probably tried a lot of them: keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, and the rest. They help lower your blood sugar a bit, but they are not really helping you to reverse your type 2 diabetes. They work by making you inject less sugar into your body. When you're not eating enough, your body automatically has less sugar to work on. Your visceral fat doesn't get worse, but it doesn't help you improve your diabetes. You simply have low blood sugar. Now, I must remind you that sugar is necessary for us to feel energetic. When you reduce the overall amount of food you eat and fast for long hours, your body does not have any sugar to use for energy. Hence, you feel tired every time. Your sex drive goes down and you can't perform actively in the bedroom. Organs like the eyes, which need the energy to function, actively can't get them. Hence, eyes problem begin to occur, which can then lead to total blindness. No one wants to be blind. Did you also notice that you find it hard to concentrate while fasting? It's because your brain doesn't have enough energy to function effectively. Anti-diabetic drugs are made to help you lower your blood sugar. They are not reversing the disease. This is why people remain dependent on them for life. Over time, your body adapts to the effect of your anti-diabetic drug and it doesn't help you lower your blood sugar again. It's at this stage that doctors recommend that we increase our dosages, take a new set of drugs, or add another ones to our current medication. You should also know that most of these drugs are made with cheap chemical substances, not natural components. They come with various side effects like headaches, stomach upset, erectile dysfunction in men, weight gain, and other side effects you won't even wish on your worst enemy. With what I have just shared with you that I learned from Dr. Cord, I believe you now know why you've been set up and why it's practically impossible to reverse your diabetes following what everyone else is doing. Visceral fat dominance and beta cells apoptosis. When you're able to take care of these two problems, it's very possible to reverse your diabetes, and very fast. With what I have learned from Dr. Cord, I knew it was stupid to keep on following Dr. Ojo's advice, my doctor actually. I asked him what I could do to reverse my diabetes, reduce my visceral fat, stop my beta cells from dying, and again start producing natural insulin. Dr. Cord showed me a list of natural herbs. I can't even pronounce the names of most of the herbs in the list. In fact, let me just show you the screenshot I took of the list. Were you able to pronounce any of them? I couldn't also. Dr. Cord told me that those are the herbs that helped him reverse his own type 2 diabetes. I asked him how he could help me get these herbs and how I could start using them correctly. He smiled and told me I didn't need to go through any of that stress. He said, "Tunde, it was so hard for me to get the correct amount of these herbs to mix together and how to take them." He also said that these herbs are so bitter and ugly tasting that the average person would never take them more than once. He said he needed something that was easy and not ugly tasting so that anyone could use it. Something that got the exact amount of each herb needed for its effectiveness. He told me he reached out to his Indian friends for some help. His friend owns a company in India that specializes in making natural supplements from pure herbs. He told his friend about his plans of making the most effective and natural remedy to type 2 diabetes. He sent him the complete research he had done about diabetes and how every herb works to reverse type 2 diabetes. he shared the story of how he reversed his own diabetes with those herbs. It turns out his friend in India was also battling diabetes. He was immediately very interested in how Dr. Kotz's method works. They started working immediately, countless tests and experiments trying to make these herbs react with one another. And after 9 months of constant testing and tweaking, they succeeded in making the #1 most effective anti-diabetic herb. They drilled that whole list down into 2 tiny capsules. The first one is called Diabicare DC, and the second is called the blood sugar normalizer, as you can see on the screen. The obvious question on my mind as he told me all of this is, did they work? Dr. Kotz smiled and told me that they worked even faster than how they did while he was taking them in their raw forms. The first person to test their newly made 2-in-1 diabetes supplement is Dr. Kotz's Indian friend, and in only 9 weeks, he lowered his blood sugar level from 310 to 123, and he was diagnosed diabetes-free within 3 months. On top of that, Dr. Kotz's friend experienced a great boost in his energy levels. He lost a great amount of fat around his body because this 2-in-1 supplement does that too. Since then, Dr. Kotz and his friend has been helping people around the world to reverse their type 2 diabetes with outstanding results. So I decided to try the blood sugar normalizing and Diabicare myself too. For the first 12 days, I didn't really notice any difference and I was starting to lose hope. My blood sugar didn't really change whenever I tested, but I was stunned on the 13th day. My blood sugar was reduced from 357 to 160. I initially thought it was random, but over the next 2 months, my blood sugar dropped every day. I lost weight, I felt more active, I had more clearer vision, and finally my doctor declared me diabetes free. My sexual drive has restored again, and I have started enjoying mind-blowing and satisfying sex with my wife. That's one of my favorite parts of this compliment. I wasn't exercising more than I was convenient with, and I can even eat sugary food in moderation, the ones my doctors told me never to take again. I don't feel like the odd guy out again. I could finally eat what everyone else is eating at parties without wondering if it would send my sugars off the charts. I only regret that I didn't discover the solution while my friend Femi was alive. Maybe he will still be with his family and me today. So seeing what Diabicare and blood sugar normalizer had done for me, I started sharing my story with everyone that cared to listen. My brother-in-law was able to lower his blood sugar level from 225 to 120 in only 9 weeks following these 2 remedies. Mrs. Grace Ifedolapo, my whole life has changed. These supplements have made a remarkable difference. My blood sugar level is normal. I have more energy than ever and I've been able to finally lose the weight and keep it off for good. With results like this, I knew I had a mission to share my message with every diabetic out there. There are over 4 million people living with diabetes in Nigeria. If my story can help just 1,000 people, I believe I have achieved something in my life too. That's the essence of making this presentation today, to show as many Nigerians as possible how to safely reverse their diabetes and regain their lives again without falling victim to the unending cycle of drug, test strips, diets and exercises that don't tackle the root cause of diabetes I've told you about today. Remember what I told you about the root cause of diabetes? Let me remind you again. The invisible visceral fat that attacks insulin receptors. The death apoptosis of beta cells that make insulin. So, the blood sugar normalizer and Diabicare are the only 2 supplements out there that can fix 2 root causes of diabetes too. The blood sugar normalizer, from its name, helps your body regrow new beta cells and reactivate the resting ones so your body can start producing insulin again and regulate your blood sugar. Diabicare DC helps to reverse the effects of inflammatory cytokines made by visceral fat that clogs your insulin receptors so that your body can start absorbing glucose for energy again. How fast do they work? If I had to consistently take these supplements for 2 years before I noticed a difference in my diabetes, I'm sure I wouldn't have agreed to test it at all. Diabicare DC and the blood sugar normalizer completely reversed diabetes within 3 months. In most of the people who tried them, my co-worker at my workplace normalized his blood sugar level from 226 to 120 in 2 months. The speed with which these natural herbs work varies from person to person. Now here's what I would advise. Even when you notice a great improvement in your blood sugar after you start taking these capsules, please take them for 3 months to ensure that your diabetes goes forever. That's how long Dr. Cord told me to use them for complete reversal. Now let me ask you a few questions, my friend. What would it mean to you if you never have to worry about your blood sugar again? How would you feel if you never experience the kind of side effects you get from using diabetes drugs again? Imagine the stomach pain, the vomiting, the weak performance on the bed, and low sex drive all becoming a thing of the past. What would it mean to you? What would you give to never again have to worry if you go to an early grave because of your diabetes? How about the joy of never becoming a financial, emotional, and physical burden to your family? Deeply think about this. What would you give to achieve this kind of results? Imagine you have a magician right in front of you that promised to completely reverse your chronic type 2 diabetes in only 3 months. How much would you pay for that kind of transformation? Personally, I won't flinch to drop 300,000 to never again have to worry about dying from diabetes, especially since research has shown that the average diabetic will spend more than 4.5 million naira over their lifetime managing diabetes, and eventually develop a heart attack or a stroke if care is not taken. Most of the people I have told about Diabicare and blood sugar normalizer all agree that they will gladly pay that kind of money to bring back their lives again. But this isn't about the money for me. It's about helping as many people as possible to take charge of their lives, which includes you if you act today. You will never find Diabicare and blood sugar normalizer in any pharmacy you visit because it poses a great threat to their best-selling product, which includes various drugs, insulin injections, and various other diabetes management products. Dr. Cord told me some big pharmaceutical companies have offered to pay him life-changing money for his combo. When he asked what they were going to do with them, these companies want to have them safeguarded where people like us will never find it. They even go as far as paying doctors and publicity companies to spread fake news about natural health products. They say they are untested and risky, something our forefathers have been using for years. And independent science-based researches have shown to be very effective and safe in lowering blood sugar and reversing insulin resistance. Healthline, a standard medical website, said that Gymnema sylvestre helps to lower sugar cravings and reduce blood sugar levels. An independent study published on NCBI involving 41 people living with type 2 diabetes found that taking cinnamon extract helps to lower blood sugar levels. There are several other natural herbs that can go into this formulation that they make us believe are dangerous for us. Their goal is to keep you alive so you can keep buying their products. My goal and Dr. Cord's goal is to help you get over your type 2 diabetes in as little as 3 months forever. Does this sound exciting to you? I'll tell you to try some bottles of blood sugar normalizer and Diabicare DC for yourself in a moment, but I feel it's more important to tell you how to use them for maximum results. There are 60 tiny capsules in each bottle. Simply take one pill from each of them in the morning and at night. That's all there is to it. You will see a significant improvement in your health in as little as a few days.
Like I told you earlier, most people order the 2 and 3 months plans. This means that we are always having more orders than the number of products I get from the Dr. Cord. Because of the time it takes to screen every natural herb for quality, and the long time it takes to bring Diabicare and blood sugar normalizer into Nigeria, clearing and forwarding, these lifesavers are not always in stock. I would hate for that to happen to you. Now imagine finally you are able to lower your blood sugar in the first month. Your wife is already feeling the way you give it to her in bed. Your energy levels are getting higher. But then, when you come back to this website to get your remaining 2 months supply to permanently reverse your diabetes, you see a big message on the top right corner that says, out of stock. It's not even worth risking, my friend. You know you really want to break free from insulin injections and drugs with horrible side effects. Look, I've double checked with my assistant to reserve the remaining 137 bottles for people who watch this video to the very end. And as long as you are among the first people who order for these natural herbs today, you will be able to buy the complete 3 months supply and never risk putting your diabetes reversal journey halfway through. And the great news is that the more you decide to invest in right now, the more you save. While Diabicare DC and the blood sugar normalizer have a normal price of 53,000 naira for a month's supply, well, that's a great discount on its own. On this website only, you will be able to order the 3-month complete plan for 75,000 naira, which is just 25,000 naira per month. Now, the 1-month plan costs 39,500 naira and the 2-month plan costs only 59,500 naira. If you can't afford a 3-month pack at once, you can take advantage of the 1-month and the 2-month plan, which are also heavily discounted too. However, I will urge you to get the 3-month plan as the best option. That way you can save a lot of money and you will not also worry about finding that we have completely sold out all of the bottles we have the next time you come back to order. Now, what if everything I've said is not completely true? I understand your fears. Your doctor has probably been lying to you for years and selling you more drugs. Well, that's why I'm excited to tell you the deal I got from Dr. Court. If you order for Diabicare DC and the blood sugar normalizer today, you have a full 180 days to decide if it's worth your tiny investment today. That's 6 complete months.
If you don't agree that these helps have helped your life, simply contact me for a full refund and I'll pay you from my pocket before I get paid by Dr. Court. I should tell you that this is a complete pay on delivery process. You only pay 1,000 naira to confirm your order on the call with me or my assistant to weed out indecisive people. You'll pay the rest once you have received your order. You see, your investment today is 100% risk-free, right? But before you click the link below this video to get your own supply of these herbs, I should tell you about the exclusive gift you get with your order today. It's a completely pure natural herbal extra Dr. Court gave me. What it does is that it helps your body de-stress. This means that if you're expecting or just had a stressful day, you can skip the difficulty to sleep by swallowing 2 tiny capsules of this extract. It's known as ashwagandha. Ashwagandha has been in use for years by Indians, making it easier to fall asleep. It's just one of the numerous benefits of ashwagandha. It also helps to lower blood pressure, it enhances sexual performance, it lowers bad cholesterol in the body, it helps you regrow fuller hair in case you've started losing your hair, probably because of old age. Ashwagandha is simply very powerful. I literally begged Dr. Court before he could release 100 bottles of ashwagandha with the 300 bottles of blood sugar normalizer and Diabicare I ordered. Having just 100 bottles means I do not have enough ashwagandha to go around for everybody that orders today. For this reason, only the first 100 people to order for this 2-in-1 diabetes reversal combo will get free bottles of ashwagandha. Now, do not get me wrong, you'll still be able to reverse your diabetes without ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is just a bonus for fast responders today. The time to act is now, my friend. Watching this presentation to this extent means you think there's some element of truth to what I've been telling you. Now, allow me to prove it to you at my own risk. There are 2 ways to order today. Click the link below and fill the form that pops up. My assistant will take your order and ask for a deposit of 1,000 naira only. You can also call the number on your screen for fast order. Please call this number between 8 AM and 6 PM Mondays to Saturdays. But just before I round up my presentation, I should tell you that people are buying in large quantities and they are paying for their friends and loved ones. So if you want to get some bottles for yourself today, you should act now while you are watching this video. I cannot guarantee how long the supply will last. What I can guarantee is that if you try out Diabicare and the blood sugar normalizer today, your doctor will be surprised at how fast you're lowering your blood sugar. It will get to a point you have no choice but to completely take you off your drugs. Like my doctor, he may even ask what you are using. But that's not the real reason you're doing this. Decisions like these are what we make for our family. You can't imagine how painful your early departure will be to your family, just like my friend. I still miss him to this day. If I had discovered this secret, this thing 2 years ago, I probably still would have my beloved friend here. Well, it's God's doing, as they say. You have the opportunity my friend never had in front of you today. Will you take it or let it sleep and continue doing trial and error that big pharmaceutical companies want you to do? Your decision is completely up to you. Click the link below and fill the simple form to order, or call this number for a fast order. About 218 people die every day to various complications of diabetes. Research has shown that diabetes is the leading cause of blindness among old people today. More people are dying while the diabetes industry is growing by billions every year. I don't want you to be just another number among them who lose their lives from diabetes. I know you don't want that too. Take action backed by my 6-month complete refund policy today. If you're still here, I thought you would love to hear from more people who have completely altered the course of their lives because they use Diabicare DC and the blood sugar normalizer. Here's what some of them have to say. Mr. Tomiwa: after being a diabetic for many years, I'm happy to report that thanks to Diabicare and blood sugar normalizer, my blood tests are now showing that I'm officially diabetes free. Saying thank you does not seem to be strong enough. God bless you, and your work just begins to express my feelings. Mrs. Ijoma: about 2 months ago when I started Diabicare and blood sugar normalizer, my blood sugar count was 332 and my kidneys were in very poor condition. Just today I was given my result from my last physical test and can report that my blood sugar count is 110 and my kidneys function is slightly elevated. By the way, I forgot to mention, when I was first diagnosed, I weighed over 250 pounds and my blood pressure was high. I now weigh 193 pounds and my blood pressure is normal. Thank you for all your help. My family and I are grateful. Thank you, Mrs. Ijoma. So my dear friend, click the link below this video or call this number on your screen. Thank you for watching.